What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be working on something very cool. This 1987 square body R10. Now, there's been some really cool modifications to this truck that makes it less than original, but they're awesome modifications. The paint is actually, I didn't think I'd like one of these things in white, but it looks fantastic on this thing. It makes it really stand out. But I'll tell you, one of the big modifications makes this thing a wheel peeling monster. And that, of course, is all the way around. The bed liner is really cool too. This was picked up down at Carlisle not too long ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there's a few things I really want to work on. You can see that the body line coming from the front to the back. We'll have to just check a few things out to make sure that we're happy with it before we send it down the road. As you can see, we have some adjustment needed for the rear bumper. The exhaust and everything looks fantastic. Underneath is a little bit of touch-up paint, new fuel tank, brand new exhaust. The bed looks fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a brand new bed on it. Or the one thing is, this actually came from out west, and you can tell there's very little rust on this thing. This is a fantastic find. The adjustment on the bumper literally is just a few bolts, just get it right. But the crown jewel of this thing is sitting right underneath the hood. We have to make a little bit of an alignment on the hood, but it's got a 454 in it. Now, this is not the original engine to this car, but it's an awesome upgrade. And underneath the hood here, besides the fact that it's got Tinkerbell's fuel or air filter, we'll go ahead and get a proper air filter on it. And there's a few things that we're gonna do. We're gonna pretty it up, put some chrome valve covers on it. And I don't really like this. I don't like how it's just kind of barely in there, so we're gonna go ahead and sort that out as well. But you know, just really basic things. There is one issue we have with it that we are gonna have to sort out, and you can tell it's something electrical. And it's just a matter of throwing the key in here. Now, starts right up. Yes, loud noise, go away. So one weird thing that we have to figure out is why when you turn the lights on, watch the dash. Fuel gauge goes away, oil gauge goes away, temperature goes to a gazillion degrees. So we have a few things we need to actually do some research on, figure out why it's losing its mind. Another interesting thing is there you go. Yeah, that one doesn't work. And this one, up is down and down is up. So there's a few little things here and there we got to work on. Other than that, this thing is awesome. One thing that I do have, oh, and the when you change from park to reverse and everything, I think the linkage just needs a slight adjustment, because that's reverse, that's drive, so nothing really terrible, just gotta tweak her just a little bit. There is gonna be a replacement piece right here because one, it's not really in the best of shape, and two, somebody did that, which is not very cool at all. But other than that, this thing is in remarkable condition. But you know, coming from upstate New York, I'm not used to that stuff. So one thing I don't like, and I am gonna adjust, we'll do it right now, is their vacuum placement. I don't know, personal preference or something, but and we'll go get ourselves a replacement one of those. Another cool thing, it's got air conditioning. Now we'll go ahead and use shrink wrap instead of electrical tape and get that sorted out correctly, because that's just, in my book, that's a no-no. Some little electrical issues, you know, some people just don't like dealing with the electrical stuff, but it's very important to get it right in my mind. Well, let's go for a quick ride in it. First things first, Tinkerbell's got to go. And just like every other block intake, or carburetor rather, need this bad boy right there. All right, no more Tinkerbell. All right, guys, today's another day. I got home a little bit late yesterday, so what are we going to be working on? One, I've inspected the vehicle, and the ground straps are ridiculous. So the only ground straps we have to open up the hood. There's no ground strap connecting the frame to the cab. And if we go over here, our only real ground strap that we have going from anything substantial would be right to this bracket. Now, this does call for 2 additional ground straps on the back side of the engine to the firewall. And the only other ground strap I can find is from the wiring harness to there. And from, I mean, this is really too small to carry too much ground. And then our only other ground is down sitting on the frame rail right here. Once again, now this one's tiny, so that is our only ground of any substance. So one, we're gonna go and put 2 from the back of the engine to the firewall, 1 from the actual cab to the frame rail, and hopefully that will actually, and I'm gonna move this one from here to the block itself. I think that's going to be a much better ground. I understand that we need one going here, but I would like to put one right to where the valve cover goes on. And on the back side, or we could probably even clean out this thread right here and put it right there. That would be nice too. But yeah, that's unacceptable. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people don't really think about the ground portion of what these things need to be really heavily grounded. And I haven't checked the bed yet to see how the bed is grounded to the actual frame rail as well. But as it stands right now, I picked up 3 of the grounding kits. Well, ground wires. So we'll have to see what happens. One step at a time. Gotta love people. Grounding is important, guys. Causes all kinds of problems. Man, I wish I could keep this truck. It's freaking awesome. I'll be honest, right? Not a fan of white on anything, but this truck is just perfect with white. Freaking love it. All right, let's get this thing down the road. You have to really think. This is a cab mount right here. That's rubber. So sure, you have a bolt going through there. You just have a few bolts holding this thing to the cab. And it just means you really aren't going to get the kind of ground you need. So we actually have a nice spot right here. And we'll go ahead and bolt it through one of these holes right here. The big thing is we have to make sure we clean up the surfaces well enough to be able to do it. And this one's a little bit long, but it'll work. Now, it calls for one up a little bit further here, but I don't see a good spot, and I'm not drilling holes through this truck, so I'm just going to go ahead and, from here, pick one of these holes and just go right into there. So, that's how I'm going to get the ground to it. So we have a frame grounded properly, and we'll get a few nice spots up there to the firewall from the actual block itself. All right, let's get to work. Underneath here, we are now grounded. And something else I wanted to show you, and this is why I don't like doing it this way. So they grounded it directly to this plate. When I took the nut off of this right here, where it mounts right to the actual block itself, or the intake, this bracket, paint on it, this stud coming up through, paint on it, the nut, paint on it, the washer, mostly paint on it. There's no way you're getting a good ground between this bracket into that engine block. Not gonna happen. So we'll clean that up. I'm gonna move this down to here, that way, and we'll clean this up. We'll get a ground through the bracket into the actual stud itself, right into the block. That way, we'll have a nice ground coming from the battery directly to the engine, and the bracket will be grounded. Everything here will be grounded properly. So we'll double check, say this right here. We want to make sure that we have, it looks like we do, a good ground from here to there. I'll bring my multimeter out and we'll start checking everything, because definitely left a lot to be desired here. So let me clean things up and get it ready to be rebolted back together. All right, so unfortunately this is not long enough for it to reach. It's too tight here. I'm worried about over time it rubbing through something and causing a problem. So what I did was, after I chased the threads on both the stud as well as the nut, I cleaned the entire side of the other side of the nut. I cleaned the entire washer. I cleaned the surface of the bracket itself. So now the stud and the nut and all this is all one piece. I cleaned a little bit of the bracket up. I put one of these in between the washer and the surface. Now this will actually physically bite right into the metal. So this will give you a nice ground. We're going to do the same thing up here. Pretty straightforward. I don't know if I can put you guys in a good spot. Maybe right here. And what we're going to do, put the right size I don't know why I'm using my small kit today, but it is what it is. I'm going to take one of these. It's going to go right through there. And it'll be sandwiched between the actual metal of, oh no, we don't want to do that with that. We need that for something else. There you go. It's like this. There. I will torque that the rest of the way down with the actual socket wrench, but what that will do is it'll bite between the actual metal from the crimp and the metal on the actual bracket itself. So now we should have a good ground from here to there. It's the simple things, you know. If you have paint and you have this on top of paint, it's not going to be a good ground. And if there's a lot of paint going from the bracket to the engine, definitely not going to be any ground. So we sorted out the problem here to here. Now we have one from the frame rail to the cab. Now we got to get a couple from the engine block to the cab. And in fact, what I'm going to do today, instead I'll put one from the block to the frame rail and one to the cab. I think that will give us a little bit better than what it calls for, but afterwards we'll check ohms and everything to verify that I am correct on that, or if I'm wrong. So, all right. This is a perfect example. They were relying on these threads to carry the ground into the actual frame, and they didn't prep the frame at all to actually be able to take the ground. So that's one of the big things. It's just little things you got to look for. A lot of little things add up to one big thing. So we're almost there, guys. We just have to get one from the, I want to go from this side of the engine block to the firewall, because that way we're closer to the actual dash cluster. Not that it's necessary, but you do it on this side, but we're going to do it from this side. Because of the interesting setup they have for grounds, I figured it'd be a good idea to just go ahead and look inside here, see what we have going on. And I gotta say, it's very interesting. Unlike Dodge, which I'm used to working on, you got this right here, a little piece of string that actually follows this column right here. So as you move this, it's literally the only thing. So all we got to do for getting this in the appropriate spot is just change the location of this little clip right here. Very interesting way of doing that, Chevy. Very interesting. So we got to go ahead and pull this dash cluster out. I'm going to check all the grounds to make sure we have everything good. As you can see, our temperature is not in the thousands of degrees. So that doesn't make any sense. And we also have a fuel gauge that's saying half full when it's empty. So a few things that I have a bit of suspicion that it is behind the dash at this point. I did get the switch in the right position now, as well as making it so that one goes up and down. So we're actually almost done, ready to send this down the road. Just got to figure out what's going on with the dash now. Well, I've had the entire dash cluster not only out, but I pulled it completely apart. All of the individual tabs had unadhered from the plastic, so they're now adhered to the actual plastic, so it's going to be nice and solid. A bunch of these had to come apart so that I could actually clean the connections, and every single spot I've not only checked for continuity, but to make sure that there wasn't too much resistance in it. Everything is good to go. We just got to slap her back together. When it's all slapped back together, we can try seeing if it all works again. And then I got to get some gas, because like I said, the fuel meter was way off, and I actually drove it out of gas. So fortunately, it's not a diesel, and it's a very quick fix. Just pumping some gas. All right, get this back together. All right, guys, solid. The dashboard is all back together. This is lined up where it's supposed to be. I think it's, I don't know, focus. You can't see it. Well, oh, yeah, there you go. So this is where it's supposed to be now. The electrical and the dash is all sorted out. In fact, now I can start it up and use the very little amount of gas I have to show you that before we would put the lights on. With the lights on, the oil gauge wouldn't work and the temperature gauge would be like at infinity. So the fuel gauge is still a little bit funky, but I know it's not this at this point. It's definitely going to be probably on the other end. Now, it adds up, and I know it adds up, but it's very important to put the right grounds on. Thin wire 14-12 gauge, stuff like that's not going to cut it. You need to get some real ground wire. So there was really nothing grounding the cab to the frame except for a few bolts. And then, of course, like I was showing you, you had that thick piece of polyurethane that they used for the cab mounts. But you got to put a ground from the cab to the frame, from the frame to the bed of the truck, from the frame to the actual, like, the engine block, from the block to the firewall, from the block itself to the battery, and then, you know, even your radiator core support, your entire front clip, everything needs to be grounded. There's your truck or your car relies on that. So that's sorted out. Now with the lights on, I actually have directionals. You know, if you can see them on the back of the Supra, they work great. They're not freaking out anymore. Now we start this up and lights are on, and we're using the little, well, probably whatever gas I have left in the truck right there. There's no more gas, but you can see that the oil gauge was working with the lights on. We'll go ahead and turn that off so I can turn the truck back on the next time without jumping it. So the battery seems nice and solid. There's very few things we have to do left, but you know, that's what makes the difference between a good truck and a great truck. The grounding on something is very important. Electrical, I understand electrical is a pain in the neck, but maybe because I'm an electrician, I don't mind dealing with it. But yeah, get some proper grounds. I'll show you what I use for like the satellite, what I'm going to be using for the Supra, what I'm going to be using for the drift truck. I use something a little bit different just because I like the way it looks. It is a lot more expensive than this, not to say that this is cheap. They're about $7 a rip. And I have 4 or 5 of these in here today. So it's very important to have proper grounds. So what's left on the truck? Well, oh yeah, the issue with the switch was, one, now it's in the right direction. The passenger side works. The issue was the actual connector from the wiring harness. The crimp-ons were a little bit loose where the plug from the switch actually physically plugged into it. So I just went in there and tightened them up with a pair of needle nose, put it all back together, and now she works like a dream. So all the grounding issues done. The electrical issues are sorted, except for we have to drop the fuel tank, which is going to be easy because there's no fuel in it. So I guess things work out for, you know, a reason. I have a feeling it's actually the unit itself inside the fuel tank saying that the level is wrong. So we'll go ahead, pop that, and take a look at it. I know the fuel tank has a good ground on it, so it's not that. Everything in between here and there is in solid condition, so it's got to be inside or above the fuel tank. Probably inside the fuel tank. What else? Well, there's really only two things left to do with the truck. The rear bumper just needs an alignment. That's 4 bolts, boom, 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 done. The front bumper is perfect. The only thing that we need to deal with in the front is the front hood. Well, the only hood on this entire vehicle. And it just needs to have the body line sorted a little bit. It's running a little high on this side, and she's not 100% square this way. And then, of course, the valve covers, so we can make it look... I don't know. There's a French word for perfect. I don't know. I don't speak French, so unfortunately... the piece de resistance or something, I don't know, but this is gonna be freaking badass. So a few little body lines to be sorted out, and it's going down to my uncle's, and you know, I would love to keep it, but boy would I love to keep it. All right, we'll finish up the rest of it tomorrow. It's kind of a cold day. It's been a very rainy day. Gonna rain a little bit more, but tomorrow morning's gonna be great, and then we're gonna have like 4 foot of snow or something crazy. You know, that's how things work around here. All right, guys, you have yourselves... No, wait. Well, guys, it's another sunny day here in upstate New York. I am gonna be moving the truck from where it is right now because of that tree right there, and they're calling for heavy snow and trees with leaves still on them, maybe dropping limbs. So we don't want anything falling on this bad boy. We got to get this out of here. But the bumper is straightened out. It looks way better. It's nice straight line across. The other big thing is our lines going through here. They all look good. The hood is no longer a 1/4 inch higher over here. So that's nice. Nice and flat. As far as I didn't get the valve covers on it. I really don't like doing that type of stuff outside with this kind of weather. So we'll have to see what we can do in the next few days. I want to get it inside at my uncle's, and that's actually where it's going to be going up for sale. So I know I would really love to keep this thing around, but guys, what a beautiful truck. What a beautiful truck. Solid. Also, it seems like the problem was just having to rebuild the dash cluster, and it wasn't really so much rebuilding, just I dismantled the entire thing. I had to repair the ribbon going to the plug and take all of the actual gauges out so that I could clean the contact surfaces. And now we actually have gas in it today. Turn the heat off. Starts right up. I actually drove it out and filled up the tank. Gas gauge is doing nice. Oil gauge is good. Temperature is good. I was just running it about 30 minutes ago. She runs great now. Her headlights, all the lights work. High beams work. Regular lights work. Windshield wipers definitely work. I had to have this full thing apart right here. I went through the locking mechanism on this side. The windows go up, down and up in the right direction, down and up. The sunroof does not leak. Yeah, this is an awesome truck. I really hate to see it go down the road, but we have our gear position, drive, reverse, everything. That's a nice order right there. Still need to do the trim on here, although, you know, we'll see. Maybe we might be able to get a different radio on it before she goes down the road. So like I said, I got to get it out of here. I don't want anything falling on it. So I would take you along for me on the outside, do burnouts, but We got to treat this old girl nice. No, it's not that I can't or won't. It's more than happy doing it. Just I don't want to do it in the rain. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Anyways, guys, you can tell I'm suffering from cold weather and lack of coffee. So I'm going to go have some more coffee, and I'll see if I can't find any footage from the other day when I had this out, when it wasn't raining. She is so beautiful though, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Just listen to this thing. It is so happy. The bed liner is really, really nice. Underneath it is really nice. There's no rust. And you look at the bed is fantastic. This thing is in great shape. Way too nice for me, guys. That's more my kind of what I should be driving around. Clapped out. That's you know, multicolored. This thing's just too nice. So anyways, we got to get washed, which is a bad day to do it today, and the inside cleaned out. What an awesome truck, guys. What an awesome truck. And if you guys don't like Chevy square bodies, I'm sorry. Whether it's a Dodge or a Chevy or the Fords, but I prefer the Dodge and the Chevy square bodies. The square body styles. Late 70s, early 80s, that kind of thing. Late 80s in this case. Anyways, I can babble on and on. I'm not really a truck guy, but this thing, that truck and this truck, if I could have a big garage and keep them both. Anyways, all right, let's get this thing out of here. Whoa, almost dropped you guys. Until the next time, remember, stay dry, stay warm, and keep your shiny side up.